It is season 3. Holy shit, season 3. We got renewed.
We had to pull some stuff with the sponsors. Hopefully we don't end up in a situation like my bad this week. We'll get to the clown show, literally, that is the Jacksonville Jaguars coming up in my bad. But yeah, we don't have any roofing companies, so I think we'll be okay.
Okay, I think we'll be fine. Episode 1, and this was supposed to be the Evan Nolan.
I said the Ozzie Smith episode.
Ooh, the Ozzie Smith episode. I like that. But it was also supposed to be, and I was feeling a little under weather 2 days ago when it was your 43rd birthday, and it was your 43rd birthday extravaganza show, which I guess it's really not anymore. But, do you know what the number 1 song is on the day you were born?
I looked this up for one of those stupid things once. Was it a Bee Gees song? I have a Bee Gees in my head.
Well, it's 79, but no.
Or is it We Are Family?
No.
Oh, okay. No, I don't know.
Oh, Freak Out.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Do you know what the original chorus to Freak Out was actually? Before they had to change it?
Not. No. What is it?
Originally, it was F-U. And then they were forced to change it in order to get any radio play.
Shit, I didn't know that.
This is just them, Nile Rodgers swearing at the bouncer. The whole song is about swearing at the bouncer at the Studio 54, who wouldn't let him in because he didn't know who he was. That's what that whole song is about.
I had no idea.
Yeah, so the original song was F you.
Yeah. Interesting. So, a good story that would be good on another show. How the hell did this go number 1? Which now has 2 co-hosts.
Really?
Brad Nelson, who you met when you were a part of that. He's now an official co-host. We call him the Heather Locklear because he was brought in early in the season to make something better. Melrose Place.
Fair enough. I'm hoping that the Celtics waived Jabari Parker today. I'm hoping that means that they're going to bring in something to make it better because the Celtics have had their worst loss of the season 5 consecutive games in a row. So.
Yeah. So yeah, that was the big trivia thing that I had for you on your 43rd birthday.
Yeah, I don't know why I thought it was that because I know it was a good year for Pittsburgh in 1979. Both the Pirates and the Steelers were champions. So
yeah, featuring probably one of the weirdest MVPs ever in baseball, Willie Stargell. Great player, but that year stunk. But he had a great playoff. I think he became the first guy to win the MVP, LCS MVP, and the World Series MVP. 2 out of 3 he deserved.
Fair enough. Who should have won in 79 if not Stargell?
He tied with Keith Hernandez.
So, okay.
So, I mean, Hernandez could have easily been that. If I remember correctly, I think Stargell had less than 120 hits.
Wow.
Which for a non-strike season,
that's Rafael Palmeiro winning the Gold Glove at first base level right there.
And a B-WAR under 3.
Ooh.
So, but whatever. We're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about the Hall of Fame related news. And I wanted to kick off it's almost a combined thing because one of my regular segments is the shit box, where I'll just talk about wherever the hell I want that may or may not be Hall of Fame related. But and then elevator up, elevator down, which as it suggests, hey, who made a case over the past week to make their Hall of Fame chances go up, and who went down? I'm combining this because we got to do a deep dive on Antonio Brown.
Oh, did something happen with him this week?
Not only is the elevator down, he decided to get out of it and said, you know what? I can actually levitate up there because I'm Antonio Brown. I don't know what's going on in this guy's head. There's been all sorts of shit going on in our little Twitter group. I mean, it's either CTE or this guy's just been a diva all his life. It could be a combination of both. I don't know what's going on. I am going to say this. I want Antonio Brown back in the NFL if he's mentally equipped for it. And right now he is not. I am not taking any, I have nothing against Antonio Brown. But this guy's a mess. A colossal mess of epic proportions that's even got worse today with an interview he did. Before we go there, I brought up here, I think ESPN put this together. I forget.
Hey, hold on one quick second. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, so I just they put together the last 3 years of just Antonio Brown, and again, we're talking about an all-decade player. Probably, I think, like basically, he was the best wide receiver of the 2010s, and if not, he's number 2. Agreed?
I'd have to think about that, but he's up there, sure.
Yeah. So he was named all-decade player. So December 2018, deactivated for the Steelers for reportedly throwing a ball at a teammate in practice. Met with Art Rooney in February 2019, and they both decided time to move on. Traded to the Raiders for 2 picks, which at the time seemed it was only a 3rd and 5th. Well, it turned out to be a steal for Pittsburgh. I don't know who they got, but whatever it was, doesn't really matter, does it?
At this point, no.
No. Placed on non-football injury because he had frostbite on his feet from cryotherapy.
Yeah.
Missed the Raiders training camp over helmet grievances and released when he asked for it. Signed a 1-year deal with the Patriots 2 days after his release. Then his ex-trainer, Brittany Taylor, accused Brown of sexual assaults.
Yeah, within like 24 hours of him joining the Patriots.
Right. Well, didn't he play 1 game?
Yeah, he played the game against. He had a great game against Miami.
Yeah.
Got a touchdown. Just while I'm looking up who the Steelers got, they got Deontay Johnson in the 3rd round with that 3rd round pick, who was a pretty good choice. He scared the hell out of me. I won my fantasy league, but he scared the hell out of me for that one. And they got tight end Zach Gentry.
Okay.
Out of that deal. So
released January 22nd, 2020, charged with felony burglary. Jesus, I can't talk.
There's a good word. Yeah.
Bulgari, blah, 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 blah. I forgot all about that. Misdemeanors for moving truck. Suspended 8 games overall. He got lucky that was just that. And then the Buccaneers signed him and suspended 3 games for COVID-19 protocols. Because
he faked the documentation.
Yep. Well, I guess he thought, well, my guy's better than Evander Kane's. I guess not.
Yeah.
And then in his comeback, took equipment off, runs off the field during the games against the Jets. Coach Bruce Arians said he's no longer a Buck. And then this is where the he said comes up. And maybe we got to do a deep dive here into this, because obviously we don't know really what it was. There's no John Boy lip reader to really look at this one, because we don't have footage of that. Only they know for sure. I hate to say it. Don't you kind of want to believe Bruce at this point? Because
I mean, if he actually has a text message, as he says he has,
which he would have released.
Probably, because he released the ones about Brady's guy, whose name just completely jumped out of my head.
Yeah.
Who I don't know why he released that. I thought maybe he thought it made Brady look bad or something. It just made him look bad. Like, it's like, hey, I want my money back. Guy's like, sure, I'll give you your money back. He's like, how dare someone give me my money back when I asked for it? It's like,
does not Tom Brady look even better? I mean, I love Tom Brady's class right after. That's a pro. Like, you're getting asked about this. I mean, like, they're all saying, well, we didn't know what was going on the sideline. Bullshit. You all did. And you came back and won the game anyway. Actually, Mike Evans, who tried to stop Antonio Brown from leaving, got a touchdown that drive.
True. Yeah.
That is some impressive focus that really has gotten lost in this whole thing. And Brady was classy just as well. He had nothing bad to say about him, even after he got trashed today by Antonio Brown.
Yeah, who said that Brady only wanted him because he was good at football. Needless to say, Brady took him in to his house when he in there, got him on there. The only reason that Antonio Brown has a Super Bowl ring is because of Tom Brady in that team.
Let's just even say that Antonio Brown's completely right on that. Yeah, I had some bosses take interest in me because I could sell for them.
100%.
That's not exactly the worst. Some people you connect with, some people you don't. Did Tom Brady want to win and he did what he thought he had to do and he sort of gave him a shot? Because this does not happen without Tom. It doesn't. There's a lot of people who hate Tom Brady, and I get it, because I think a lot of people hate people who win so much. You cannot hate on him for this, just the nonsense this clown was saying today. And I think even that, I want to bring some of what he said today on this interview. Who was it with? It doesn't even matter who it was with on a podcast that I've never heard of, much like they've never heard of me. So that's okay.
Yeah, fair. I mean, to be fair, there are a lot of podcasts out there.
Oh, yeah. So when asked why he removed his shirt, I got too sexy for the stadium. The coach said, get the F out of here. So F you guys too. I'm taking off your logo. I'm not wearing this shit anymore. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. Now here's this. Where it says, now imagine you hear 60,000 people like, yeah, AB. Okay. Let's just go to that first before we go any further. They were all laughing at you. They're the opposing team looking at an opposing player make a spectacle of himself. I'm going to cheer that too.
Let's be honest. It is the greatest thing to happen in the Meadowlands for the Jets in at least a decade.
Well, also the Giants play there, so maybe just in the Meadowlands.
Well, that's also true. It's been a long time since. I mean, I can't say anything as a Patriots fan about the Giants. But it's been a long time since they've had a winning season too. So
I don't know who his enablers are. I don't know. It's a man-child at this point. So what is he, 31, 32? He's got people around him who just no matter what he does, say, well, you're right, AB. You got it, AB. And this is what you get. I don't know what more to say. Now, let's talk about him for the Hall of Fame. I don't see how any other team touches this guy again. I know we've talked about him a lot, but now we've got all this other stuff. If Tom Brady can't make it work with you, why would what quarterback has the kind of pull to do this at this point?
Well, here's the thing. The team that you would normally say would take the chance on him is the Raiders, and they've already had the chance on him. So,
Belichick.
And Belichick. Yeah, the two teams you would think would already take a chance on him are the Raiders and Bill Belichick.
And the quarterback.
They've already done it. So unless, I mean, I can't imagine. It'd have to be some team that was pretty desperate. Jacksonville, maybe. I mean, I'm trying to think of somebody who would maybe, but Jacksonville might not want to do it with Urban Meyer. I'm spitballing here. Like,
even Jacksonville, right? I mean, like that's the one thing though, that when people will say, well, you'll get people in the stadium, they don't need it. They're all making money.
Yeah, that's true.
So you don't need a headache like him. So a team that would take a shot at him is if you think, okay, well, maybe he's going to put us over the edge. Like a team like right now, like let's say Drew Brees was still with the Saints and they've got wide receiving problems.
I think there's one team left.
Who's that?
Baltimore.
Okay.
Baltimore is stable enough that they may believe that and I'm not saying Baltimore would necessarily do this, but Baltimore gets a little more credit for being a stable organization there. They've won 2 playoff games in the last decade, but since their last Super Bowl. But they have a coach who is used to dealing with big personalities. They have an organization that's used to dealing with big personalities. They tend to be the place where people had to go to towards the end of their career to really build things. And they hate the Steelers. So I'm not saying it's I'm not saying Baltimore would do it. I'm just saying out of all the candidates just running through quickly in my head, that's the only one I could legitimately see doing it. I actually don't think Baltimore would do it at this point either. I'm just saying that's the only one I can see at this point that he would actually go to. Because I mean, and any other team that, I mean, so say, I don't know, I'm just throwing out the Texans. Say Texans, is he going to go to Houston and play for that? Like, he needs a quarterback. He knows that too. He's 21st all time in receptions to this point. He's got 928 receptions, 12,291 receiving yards. He's got he's only played 146 games. So he's played like the guy in front of him is Art Monk. And again, Monk played a whole different time period, but Monk played 78 more games to get 12 more receptions.
Right.
Like where his stats for how much he's played and where he is with receptions, everything else. Like Julio Jones, for example, has played 2 fewer games and has 54 fewer receptions at Brown.
Okay, yeah, that's the one who I think he won the decade because of Antonio Brown's issues in terms of yardage. I think. Yeah. But I mean, again, either way. So like we're talking 1A, 1B.
Right.
With AB, a lot of comparison was made with him and Terrell Owens, and so you probably have that up. So Owens is where against him, obviously like much higher.
Owens has 150 more catches, but he played 73 more games.
Mm-hmm.
He had 73 more games to get 150 more catches and 3,700 more yards, give or take.
Okay. And he was forced to wait 2 extra years.
Yeah. 2 extra years. So 3 years total, 2 extra years. I agree with that.
So Brown, who stat-wise is under Owens, as much as I think they're both very comparable players in their prime.
Mm-hmm.
Owens was kept out because they more or less people would say, well, he's a bad teammate. And from what we've learned in the process, Terrell Owens was the most debated person in that room by far.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Brown's issues now exceed that by far. Throw in the domestic other violence issues, which may or may not be true. I'm not going to say they are. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But holy shit, this is going to be really, really hard for him. I've never seen any, and I said this 2 years ago. Antonio Brown is acting his way out of the Hall of Fame.
Mm-hmm.
And here we are again. And it's way worse. I'm trying to think of in any sport, anyone quitting during a game in dramatic fashion. I know it's happened where they quit during a game. Vontae Davis did it 2 years ago, I think, with the Bills.
I mean, and I could tell you in Chicago, Scottie Pippen still gets dragged for not going back in that playoff game. He didn't even quit. He just didn't want to go into a playoff game because his feelings were hurt.
Yeah, that's true, but it wasn't like this.
No.
I mean, there was nothing. I've never seen.
Scotty also has 6 championships and a little bit of leeway.
That's also true. That's also true. Well, Scottie Pippen's pretty interesting now.
Yeah, he had Jordan. I don't know what happened. Somebody pissed in somebody's lemonade, though.
Yeah, well, him and Phil Jackson.
Yeah. I will say, if there's an elevator up out of all of this, it's Mike Tomlin.
Yes.
And again, Mike Tomlin, who once tripped a player going down the sideline.
Remembers.
I'd like to put that out. Oh, because he's so sanctimonious about like his headsets went out in New England. It's like this always happens up when we're in New England. Guess what happened when the Patriots, the last 2 times Patriots been in Pittsburgh? Our headsets have gone out. Like it happens everywhere just because it's the Patriots, whatever. But in the same point, he had Le'Veon Bell and Antonio Brown on that team. And let's not pretend Ben Roethlisberger is some sort of saint either.
Shit, think about this. So out of those 3, the person who might play the last game is Ben Roethlisberger.
Oh, well, that's true.
Because Bell was cut again, right? He's not even, I don't think he's on anyone's roster.
I don't know at the moment. I've lost track.
I mean, certainly as fantasy owner, I stunk, by the way. I think I whatever. But anyway, the Beach Dogs are going to turn into the Ice Dogs for next year. That's my fantasy team name for anyone who sort of wants to figure that one out.
And I am the fetid Chupacabras.
Yes, much better name.
Is he currently on?
Damn, I don't even think he is on a roster right now.
Last team he was on was Tampa. Hold on. December 22nd, he signed with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Okay, is he still?
As far as I could tell.
Okay.
He's had 5 rushing attempts in 2 games for 4 yards.
So there's no guarantee that he's even going to see action, even with Tampa going through.
100%.
So That could very well be true. That Roethlisberger, who, I mean, he's had his issues, which we'll dissect another time, because obviously in our mock committees and all this other stuff, his character is going to come up and whatnot.
Yep.
I want to save that for another time, frankly. I just don't really want to go into that. But I just thought this whole deep dive in Antonio Brown, who he's not all there. Or
see that's I think more of, I mean, he did get creamed by Vontez Perfect in that game.
Yes, he did.
4 years ago, 5 years ago, one of the most vicious hits I've ever seen.
Yep.
And I can't honestly say that I knew much about his personality before that. Like I don't have any information on it. So is it possible CTE is involved? Yes, it is. Is it possible it's something outside of CTE? 100%. And it could also just be the disease of more. Like you said, just nobody has ever told him no at any point. I mean, still remember in the Patriots played the Steelers, and he was live streaming in the locker room during like the middle of the game, and got yelled at for it, and like threw it back in Tomlin's face. Like this isn't like a new thing recently. It's been escalating, and whether it's something is getting worse or whatever, I don't know, but it's clear that there is something not fully there for whatever reason with Antonio Brown at the moment.
And I want the NFL teams not to sign him, not because I don't want Antonio Brown to be without, just because this is not healthy for him at this point.
If you're the USFL, do you sign Antonio Brown?
I don't know. I don't even know who's backing that. I've paid no attention to this.
I know they named 4 coaches the other day, and I'm like, wait, the Gamblers are back?
Well, I think I saw something like it was like all the commercials for it's back this spring, and like, but they have no players. So Antonio Brown's probably going to be one of those types where, I mean, like, that's the other interesting thing too. He lost potentially $1 million in bonuses, and whether or not, I mean, that's the other thing too. He says he told them they made him play. I don't buy that one. I mean, these teams are so goddamn cautious. Like I really don't buy that one for a second. I mean, I'm sure they know everything about everyone's medical at this stage. So, and then it also goes back to his character. Yeah, okay, well, I'm going to agree to play until this very moment. And I think just also to the side bit where you've got Mike Evans and I forget the other player, just trying to talk him out of it.
Yeah.
And again, mad props to Mike Evans for just going right back in there, knowing that his teammate and possible friend, I don't know the relationship, but he's just basically trying to stop this guy, friend, acquaintance, teammate, whatever their relation, not teammate anymore, from imploding and then staying focused and getting a touchdown. That, to me, he's my MVP of the week.
Understood. By the way, the USFL is owned by Fox Sports.
Okay.
They've committed $200 million over 3 years for its operations and trying to attract $250 million more from investors. So the teams are the Birmingham Stallions, who are going to be coached by Gene Chizik, the Houston Gamblers, right, Kevin Sumlin, the New Orleans Breakers, because Lord knows New Orleans can definitely support another professional sports franchise.
The Breakers is an awful name for a city that sort of dealt with a flood. The Levee.
Also the name of the old soccer team from Boston, which is weird. The Tampa Bay Bandits, coached by Todd Haley. The Michigan Panthers, who have not been announced yet. The New Jersey Generals, coached by Mike Riley. The Philadelphia Stars, coached by Bart Andrus, and the Pittsburgh Maulers. So it's where they're based, but everyone's going to play. There's a North Division, South Division, but all games are going to be played in Birmingham, Alabama.
All games are going to be played in Birmingham?
Correct.
It's all in Alabama. I mean, why not? I guess that's a COVID thing, huh?
Or the stadium is going to be available.
We'll see. I don't even know that I have any interest in it. I actually got into the XFL briefly when it came back. That was actually
Mhm.
kind of fun.
Yeah, actually, I agree. It was actually pretty good football before COVID destroyed it. Like that was seriously a league that might have survived had COVID not happened.
So we'll see if the Rock smells what they're cooking. I didn't say this before, but I thought maybe before we go into more sections, we should look at not Mr. Tibbs tracker. We haven't looked at that in a bit.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
100%.
So like that's what that is for those wondering. That is not Mr. Tibbs, Ryan Thibodeau on Twitter. He does a phenomenal job. One of those ideas that I wish I would have thought of, where he's just tracking all the known votes for the Baseball Hall of Fame. So,
And I have to say, not Mr. Tibbs' name will lead into the death march, unfortunately, this week. So,
yeah, we waited 2 days and we got another big one on that.
yeah.
So right now, there's 136 ballots in, so 36.5% of the ballots. 3 people will get in. It's the same as we looked at it before when there was hardly any, but the numbers are going a little bit down. David Ortiz at 83.2%, Bonds at 80.4%, and Clemens at 79 even. Any thoughts?
First of all, I actually heard a legitimate reason why people are voting for Bonds, not Clemens.
Oh, I'd love to hear it.
It's the Casey, whatever her name is, the singer, who he had the Mindy, whatever her name was, the singer who he had some sort of Mindy McCready, that's her name.
Okay.
Who he had some sort of issue with. Let me see if I pull that up.
Oh, is this a domestic violence thing I'm not aware of?
Yeah. Mindy McCready, Roger Clemens. Hold on. He had an affair and then she committed suicide, and there's a whole bunch of other stuff that went on along with it. So it was just the role. And I don't know exactly how it all goes with that, but that's a reason that at least one voter gave for why they voted for Bonds and not Clemens, because they thought they both deserved to be in there. But there's more about that Mindy McCready than I'd heard, just by the way.
Okay. And as much as we were talking about character in the Hall of Fame, I mean, the baseball writers are instructed that that is something
100%. Which is why Ty Cobb is in there.
With Kennesaw Mountain Landis. I haven't been to the baseball hall. I wonder if they're right next to each other.
They are not. They're close. Because I have been to the baseball hall a couple times. Tom Yawkey, Charlie Comiskey, all the greats. So right now we have the 3 of them. The other interesting thing, and I guess isn't that surprising, is I'm gonna predict it now. I don't think we need to bet beer on this. Omar Vizquel is never getting in the Hall of Fame.
Well, yeah, let's look at that one. Like, holy shit. So
he's lost 39 votes so far.
Which, again, we've only got 136. So he's at 8.4%. His final from 2021 was 49.1.
Mm-hmm.
Would this be the biggest? I'd have to look at this, but this has got to be.
He said it's the biggest drop he's ever had on the tracker for 1 year to the next. Schilling's lost 16, but he's already told people not to vote for him. So maybe some people are thinking that's what I'm at.
They might as well. I mean, but again, like I've said before, I'll say again. He only becomes more powerful as a martyr. I was trying to do the Catwoman there from the second. Yeah, never mind. That didn't work out too good.
I appreciated it.
I'm glad you did, because that was sure a shitty impression.
But he's not going to make it ever. It's basically over. So, and it looks as though right now we're not going to have anybody shut out either.
Yeah.
Ryan, unless I'm wrong, Ryan Howard's got 3 votes. Tim Hudson's got 4. Torrey Hunter's only got 2. Lincecum's got 3. Nathan's got 4. Papelbon's got 1. And Mark Teixeira's got 1. So I think this is going to be the first time I can remember we're going to have nobody shut out.
So there's 3 things that are really interesting here to me. And they're all sort of like next to each other alphabetically. A-Rod's at 44.8. I honestly thought he was going to be higher than this.
Sorry, I just got a message from my sister about my mom. Go ahead, continue. I apologize.
No, it's all right. So A-Rod is at 44.8, which I thought he'd be higher. And I know you and I sort of are on the same page on this one. We really don't care what anyone did before they instituted rules in Major League Baseball, which said, okay, now no steroids. And if you do, there's a penalty.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
A-Rod was popped, but A-Rod was just so damn good. And he just seemed forgiven the way he's been embraced.
I honestly think 44% so far is forgiven. This might be one of those next year he gets a whole bunch of votes. Because Clemens and Schilling and Bonds will all be gone.
Yeah, regardless of whether they get
regardless, one way or another, they're all going to be gone. But it's going to be interesting. Let's just say that I don't think Bonds and Clemens are getting in. I think it's going to be close, but I think we end up just short.
Mm-hmm.
Ortiz, I've said for 2 years at this point, I thought he was getting it with 76% of the vote. Right now he's at 83.2. I think he's getting in with like 76% of the vote.
Right.
Once you have Ortiz in, and I love David Ortiz like a brother. Like I love that man, right?
Right.
He brought more joy to my life than anyone not named Thomas Brady, right?
Sure, your wife will love to hear this.
For men.
Oh, okay. All right. Just for men. If you want, we'd be a great sponsor.
Yeah, exactly.
Huh?
Yeah, we even get Keith Hernandez on the show. We take him as a guest. But Ortiz, and I was wrong on this, and I'll apologize again. Ortiz and A-Rod were both busted on that Mitchell report, and it came out that they had both tested positive, and that if you have Ortiz in and A-Rod not in,
but
seems odd.
No, because Ortiz never got popped after.
Well, that's true, but Clemens and Bonds never got popped at any point.
I agree. That's why I keep voting for him if I could.
Right. So, and again, as I brought up with Dave, I can't think of his last name, our friend from
Longhorn
Denver.
Dave?
Yeah, Longhorn Dave. Yeah, Longhorn Dave asked, what's your opinion on steroids in the hall? And I said, if you have Bud Selig, you have Tony La Russa, you have Joe Torre, and to a certain extent, Bobby Cox. Bobby Cox goes at the same time. I don't think there's as much on Bobby Cox as Torre and La Russa, and certainly Selig.
Right.
Once you have those guys in, like Tony La Russa, we nailed Mark McGwire for never being able to get in the Hall of Fame, despite for the fact he was the single most important person in the entire league for at least 3 seasons.
Absolutely.
At least 3. Like you can debate other ways, but 97, 98, 99, there's nobody, even probably into 2000. There's nobody in the league more important than Mark McGwire, right? Maybe you can make an argument with Jeter just because those Yankees teams and he was a captain in those teams.
Yeah, but McGwire had that chase that got
right
back into it.
100%.
Yeah.
And who was his coach in Oakland?
That would be Tony La Russa.
And who was his coach in St. Louis?
That would be Tony La Russa.
So are some of Tony La Russa's wins with Mark McGwire? Like a fuckload of them are. So how does Tony La Russa get credit for what Mark McGwire did and Mark McGwire not get credit for what Mark McGwire did?
Because La Russa has the most amazing post-senior citizen mullet. I don't know. I'm trying to come up with something.
That is possible. I haven't seen Ally Afraidy recently. I'm hoping that he kept his.
Wouldn't you think that he uses Just for Men? That hair is uncharacteristically black at his age.
Yeah, he probably uses Grecian formula. It's actually he got it from ancient Greece.
Does that still exist?
I have no idea.
Okay.
I did see a bottle once that said now asbestos free, but I know. I honestly, what this is saying, we have 3 people over right now. I think Ortiz is just enough over at 83.2%. That the drag down is going to bring him to what I said, about 76. And I think the drag down is going to be just enough to bring Bonds and Clemens under. They're going to end up with between 70 and 72% would be my guess.
Right. So another one that I find, I didn't realize how well he was doing until just now. Scott Rowland's at 72.
But we said Scott Rowland was going to be the biggest beneficiary because he's the one who doesn't have the steroid stand on him and people want to vote for somebody.
I would be upset, and no disrespect to Scott Rowland, but Scott Rowland is not any of the names we just discussed. I don't want Rowland to be the only inductee.
Well, the other thing is we're going to have a huge class anyway for the people who
true.
they've already elected.
Right.
So that's not as big a deal as in years past. What I don't want is two blank processes in a row.
Right.
I mean, we've had 4 people submit blank ballots so far.
Okay.
We've had 4 people submit blank ballots. We've had no one submitted only 1 player. No one submitted only 2 players. 3 people submitted 6 players, or 6 people submitted 3 players. Excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
Like I can understand with this list if you think there are only 3 legitimate Hall of Famers. I can understand. Like, I think that if you take steroids out of it, there's at least 8, probably more.
Mm-hmm.
But like, if you just want to say Clemens, Bonds, A-Rod, or Ortiz, or you take the other guys out and say 3 other people, I get that. But the 4 blank ballot people, and one guy submitted blank ballots now in back-to-back years, and the other one submitted blank ballots in 3 out of 4.
All right, I just got to move on because it's just going to get me upset.
Yeah, it drives me nuts.
So just one other thing too. I did not think he was going to survive, but maybe I'm just overestimating or underestimating just the power numbers in the MVP. Jimmy Rollins at 11-9.
No, Jimmy Rollins is going to make it.
Well, he's going to survive. I mean, like make it.
Well, I mean, sorry, he's going to survive. He'll be on the next ballot. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Okay. And yeah, so that's I think we'll look at this again next week. Also next week we'll be doing our it's more of a mock debate. We're not really going to induct anybody. We're just going to have an open forum with people who are into baseball. Vote at the end, and not that this really matters. It's a lot less structured than our football ones.
Yeah, agreed. Well, there's a whole lot less of a winnowing process.
Well, there's really none. It's just I'm going to make my anti Billy Wagner one again. And it's
I saw something this week. Someone put up Billy Wagner stats versus Mariano Rivera stats, and Wagner's are slightly better.
Yeah. Did they leave out the postseason?
Oh, I mean, I didn't do it. I almost went to Aaron Rodgers and leaving out the postseason, but
you can.
Yeah.
You can.
We'll leave that out. I will just say this about Aaron Rodgers.
Sure.
Just quickly. I know we talked about it a little bit beforehand.
Yep.
I will take Aaron Rodgers has home field advantage throughout the NFC playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
I will take right now whoever plays them in the NFC Championship game if they get there to win that game.
I wouldn't bet against that.
He's going to lose to whatever team that is, and then his apologists are going to make some other apology along the way about how this isn't Rodgers' fault. He's actually better than Brady and Manning and whoever else they make the arguments, and everything else. He's going to lose that game. And then he's going to blame everybody else. And then he's going to throw another fit this offseason, probably with his MVP trophy that they're going to give him for being a terrible teammate, and move on.
Anti-teammate of the year.
Yeah. I mean, okay.
I think we just give that to Antonio Brown.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that is true.
Yeah.
He can't, it's another award he can't win because somebody bested him in a way he can't compete with.
But it has to be. I mean, a lot of the people, because a lot of know-nothing people on football, right? Because I'm going to say this, because we're going to come up. I'm going to do my rant that I was going to done my shit post for early. If you don't know what a down is, don't tweet about the Super Bowl. That's it. That's it. just that one line, because I don't. All these know nothings are going to come up with a bunch of takes that they know absolutely nothing about, because it's the only game they know, and they probably saw a meme, which is why they think Tom Brady's a racist.
Yeah,
but that's neither here nor there. But yeah, I think there's something to that. I am excited. I don't think my Saints are going to get through, but if they're out, you've got a lot of good teams that all flawed. Usually it feels like the last 10 Super Bowls, you have a pretty good idea who's going to get in, or you could get mildly surprised. You narrow it down to 4 teams.
I mean, the last real big surprise team was that. I mean, what's the biggest surprise team since the second Eli Giants team? I mean, I'm sure there are others I think of. That was just like they were a 6 seed, and
Well, wasn't Tampa a 6 seed, but they were coming off so much momentum. I mean, look at Indianapolis right now.
yeah, well, yeah, but then Indy just lost to the Raiders, so.
Mhm.
So I don't know. We'll see. It can be interesting. The AFC playoffs. Joe Burrow is apparently sitting this week.
Mhm.
So if they lose, that means and the Patriots win a game that they never win. The Patriots have never beaten Miami in the last week of the season. We're 0-4 in the history of the franchise. Like we lose games in Miami like anything. But if the Patriots win that game and the Bengals lose, that's a Bengals Patriots first round.
I could win 2 bets this weekend. And actually, and lose one.
Yeah, you have the Bills. So if the Bills lose to the Jets, the Jets were frisky last week, but because they have to win, otherwise, if the Patriots win, they get the division, right?
Right.
So what's the other one?
Division.
What's the other one? And the first pick in the draft.
Right, and we didn't pick teams. We picked divisions.
Yeah, and I picked the NFC East, and you had the AFC South, right?
Right. So like I'm going for either a win or a push because you can't win that.
Right. Yeah. Right. Somehow the Giants, I watched that Giants Bears game this last weekend.
Mm-hmm.
That may have been the single worst offense I've ever seen an NFL team run in my life.
I didn't watch that one. And
it had negative 10 yards passing.
That's bad. That is so bad. Maybe that's why I didn't bother watching that. And
I didn't have a choice. It was the only game on in Chicago.
Oh, okay. I'll have to show you how I sort of circumvent that thing because I am the Pirate of the Caribbean.
Fair enough.
Pirate of Manitoba? That doesn't sound well, does it? The Pirate of Manitoba, starring. I don't know. I got nothing. I didn't think that one through.
I'd say Alan Thicke because I can't think of any other Canadian actors, but he's dead.
Show me that smile. Well, Robin Thicke's still alive, just his career's. No, isn't he one of those stupid?
He's one of the guys from The Voice.
Whatever.
So.
And the other one was just straight up who's going to do better at the end of it. Sort of last team standing, Saints, Patriots. I'm barely hanging on.
Mm-hmm.
Saints got to win. Niners have to lose.
Fair enough. And the Niners are certainly capable of losing.
We're playing the Rams, but anyway. So I think we should move on to what became a much bigger segment for you.
Yeah.
Those we lost, and man, it sure. 2022 sure feeling a lot like 2021. That's all I can say.
Yeah, the thing is, we're getting older, and so everybody who was an adult when we were kids are all passing away. But I will say the last couple of days of 2021, the Beige Mistress was back with a vengeance.
Oh, all right. Tell everyone who that is.
So the Beige Mistress, who has been around that much recently, I noticed last year when we started our 2020 now, so 2 years ago, when we started doing this and it's doing the death roll, a lot of Hungarian athletes were passing away out of nowhere. And it was just every week there's like one or two of them. And so while we don't want to go with the Black Widow, Kirk came up with the Beige Mistress for the person who was responsible for all this. She was pretty quiet in 2021, but the last day of 2021, she did grab, I can't even pronounce, Scylla Mataraz. Cilla. I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce that. Who was a bronze medalist in the 1962 European Championships in the 4x100 freestyle.
We got to come up with the actress who would play the Beige Mistress.
The Beige Mistress.
So if it's Scarlett Johansson, we got to come up with like 3 levels below in terms of fame
and vaguely Eastern European.
Pretty much any white person, really, you know.
Elvira. Sorry. Elvira. I won't do that.
Still looks great.
She looks fantastic.
Yes.
So Scylla Mataraz passed away at the age of 78. Mm-hmm. And the greatest chess player from the history of Hungary, Gabor Kalai, passed away of COVID at the age of, let me do the math here, 62. So there you go.
Nastasia Kinski. I don't know what she looks like now, but how about her? Beige Mistress.
Yeah, sure, why not?
All right.
All right. From baseball, we've lost 3 folks this week. Larry Bittner was the first one, outfielder for the Cubs and Senators. played from 70 to 83, passed away at the age of 75, had cancer when he passed. From mostly the Kansas City Royals, member of the 68 Tigers. I'm sorry, mostly with Tigers. Tommy Matchik passed away at the age of 78. He was a member of the 68 World Series winning Tigers. He passed away a couple days ago. Didn't say of what. But the bigger one, I guess, for me, someone who I remember very well from when I was a kid, is Jim Corsi passed away.
Oh, I missed that.
Yeah, they had a big thing. They interviewed him back in November in a Boston radio station because he's a native of Newton, Massachusetts. Corsi didn't like the idea of someone checking out his colon, essentially, for a doctor. So he'd go to the doctor without getting the colon screening and died of colon cancer. And his big thing was, guys, don't be an idiot like me. Get this done. He had an interview that was aired back in it was filmed in November and aired on the 3rd of January. And then he passed away on the 4th. I think it was timed as he's going to pass away. Let's get this done. But Jim Corsi, I thought of him mostly with the A's. It was the A's, Astros, Athletics, Marlins, Red Sox, and Orioles. Just a reliever who was around forever, it seemed like. Mm-hmm. I thought of him with those A's, the 88, 89 A's were really, really good teams. He was also a studio analyst with the Red Sox on Nesson and things like that. But yeah, he passed away at the age of only 60.
I always thought it was a bit of a surprise that the Oakland A's did not win 3 in a row with that team. 88, well, 89, 90.
Yeah, that Reds team, though, came out of nowhere. That team just had momentum.
So they swept them, too.
I know. That Reds team, though, like, Tom Browning was just unstoppable at that point. So,
I mean, yeah, but at the same time, though, I mean, they held Oakland down. No one was really that dominating. I think if I remember right, the World Series MVP off one start was Jose Rijo.
Yeah, it is true.
Yeah. So I'm not trying to shit on Jose Rijo. It's just like, it's just feels like one of these things is not like the other based on one start that wasn't like a no-hitter or anything like that.
Yeah. So,
but
anyway, from the world of horse racing, Billy Turner passed away. He's best known as the trainer of Seattle Slew, who won the Triple Crown in 1977, which was the last Triple Crown for a very long time. But he won a whole bunch of races over the years. He passed away from prostate cancer on New Year's Eve day at the age of 81. Sorry. From the world of football, we lost quite a few people. We'll start with Fred Cohn, who's a member of the Packers Hall of Fame. Passed away at the age of 95. Played with the Packers from 51 to 57 in 1 year with the Cowboys on their inaugural team. He fell and broke his hip and died during hip surgery on New Year's Eve day, excuse me. But yeah, 95 years old and a member of starting fullback for Clemson, was a 2-time all-conference person. That was a SoCon before the SEC even existed. But he played 94 games and is a member of the Packers Hall of Fame. We also lost Ross Browner, who passed away at the age of 67, a member of the College Football Hall of Fame, who's a number 8 pick in the 1978 draft by the Bengals. Went to Notre Dame, won the Outland Trophy, the Maxwell Award, the Lombardi Award, the Lineman of the Year, 2-time All-American, member of the 1978 All-Rookie team, member of the Bengals team, what do we call it? The 40th anniversary team, excuse me.
Okay.
Because we know the Bengals suck at actually
getting better.
They're getting better. They finally figured it out. Mm-hmm. But yeah, he passed away at the age of 67 from complications of COVID. We lost a bunch of people to COVID this week, just by the way. Ralph Neely passed
Yeah.
away, offensive tackle for the Cowboys from 65 to 77, members of the 1960s All-Decade Team, two-time Pro Bowler, four-time All-Pro, two-time Super Bowl champion, drafted by both the AFL and the NFL, but went to the NFL out of Oklahoma. Yeah, he was drafted by the Baltimore Colts and by the Dallas Cowboys. So,
Well, no, that can't be right because the Cowboys were in the NFL. So if the Colts traded him his rights.
I apologize. He was drafted by the Colts and the Houston Oilers. I apologize.
Okay.
And then he got traded to the Cowboys. Mm-hmm. That's right. So
Ring of Honor, I think.
I believe he is as well. Yes. So started 172 games in his career. 168 career games out of 172 that he played. He also had 7 kick returns for 48 yards as an offensive lineman.
How does that happen?
They must have been kicking short, and recovered 5 fumbles in his career. So, we also lost Greg Robinson, the defensive coordinator for the Broncos teams that won the back-to-back championships. Also went on to coach Syracuse for a while. 2-time Super Bowl champion with them. Passed away of Alzheimer's disease at only the age of 70. Yeah, so
it's rough.
Yeah. Make sure I have all my football people before I move on to the next step. All right. So from the world of, I'm sorry. Well, we have one other one. I think we'll go into now. And that is Dan Reeves.
Yeah.
Spend some time on him.
Yeah, I think so. Was it 4 Super Bowl appearances, lost them all, but you got to be pretty damn competent to get to 4.
Mm-hmm. Well, 5. No, you got to 5, right?
The 5th.
The Falcons.
No,
the Falcons.
3 with Denver, 1 with Atlanta.
Are you going to 3 with Denver?
I thought so. 3 in the 80s.
Hold on one second.
Yeah. So yeah. Well,
no, you're right. No, you're right. I'm sorry. You're correct.
Did he not win one as a player?
He did.
Yeah.
So he Super Bowl 6.
Okay.
With the Cowboys.
Yeah, and that was sort of like at the tail end of his career. Then he became an assistant coach.
And he did win as an assistant coach at Super Bowl 12.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Okay. So he does have the one.
Yeah,
all the work he did. So part of Tom Landry's coaching tree. One of those guys, I think, that is in that periphery for a coach to get in the Hall of Fame. I think there's a few people.
He should not be in the periphery though. I mean, he has a better claim than, I guess, other than the fact that Vermeil won his Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
He's ahead of Vermeil in every other category.
All right, so maybe I should have reworded that. He's very strong on the radar. The sonic is pretty loud. Bing.
Yeah, right. So I think you and I both agree that Vermeil cut the line a little bit. So did Cower.
Yes.
But I don't really have a problem with Jimmy Johnson getting in. But Buddy Parker and Don Coryell, I think, are for both of us.
Mm-hmm.
Likely the next 2, right? Outside of that, now you have Holmgren, Shanahan, Schottenheimer, and Reeves. And we've lost both Schottenheimer and Reeves over the last year.
If Reeves would have won one of those, then he'd probably be there already. Just, I think people forget when the Broncos won those 3 for reasons I don't really know why. I have to really do a deep dive and figure that out, or maybe it's just one of those strange coincidences that happen. The AFC just wasn't at the level of the NFC. It just wasn't throughout the 80s.
They won like 16 consecutive Super Bowls or something stupid.
Something disgusting like that. It wasn't uncommon for the NFC team to be a 10-point favorite and win. I mean, and so Denver, as good as they were, just were not going to be at the level of whoever was representing the NFC. That's just how it was for a long period of time. Same with the Bills.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when I was growing up, or just even through my whole teen years, it's funny how like you were betting it, as we talked about earlier, that for the NFC East to be the worst. When I was young, man,
What's
the
the best?
NFC East was the bomb.
Of course. Yeah. I just thought this year they're going to be down. The Eagles were significantly better than anticipated. The Washington football team, or should we call them the Admirals, were better than
I thought it was going to be
anticipated.
Commanders.
And apparently, it's been leaked all over the place in certain
The
places.
Admirals?
The Admirals.
Oh,
So,
I don't care.
which is funny because the only admiral I know of in Washington, D.C. died testing a cannon that backfired and killed him.
But it's perfect.
Yeah. Yeah, and only the Giants was bad as I thought they'd be. Just by the way, the Raiders won Super Bowl 18 in 1984 or in the 83 season. The next team to win a Super Bowl for the AFC was the Broncos in 97 at the end of 97 season. So that's 14 consecutive, including
yeah. So we were pretty close on that.
Yeah.
So I don't know why that was, but it just was.
Yeah. So I think Reeves is somebody who it's been too hard until recently for coaches to get in. And then with the 20th, the 100th anniversary team, they chose, again, I don't have a problem with Jimmy Johnson. He would have been in my top 10 of guys to get in. Like you could pick one of them. I don't mind. 2-time champion. I get it. GM of some very good coach and GM of some very good Dolphins teams that didn't do anything, but he had more than just the coaching on his resume, right?
Right.
Cowher was not in my top 15.
Mine either.
So Reeves, Schottenheimer, I mean, Buddy Parker, maybe they want people alive or they want to be on the TV shows.
Oh, we know. Yeah, we've discussed that ad nauseum. It's pretty. I think we both agree that it was a bit of an ego involved, I think, and on the part of David Baker, who I'm sure had some influence there, just so he could get his knock. But anyway,
So, but yeah, Dan Reeves is definitely someone who I expect if they keep this coaches category for a while, which they should because there's a backlog. Then, or if they at some point just merge coaches and other people together back again, you get 5-6 more coaches out of the way, then I get it if you merge them back together and just do 2. But yeah, Dan Reeves is somebody who by the end of this decade should be in. So, okay, moving on to music. We lost. Hold on a second. We lost from the Big Daddy Weave. Jay Weaver, who is the bass guitarist of that band. It's a contemporary Christian music band. He passed away from COVID at the age of 42. From
42?
42, yep. We also lost hip hop producer Trax A Million, born Sultan Banks. Passed away also at 42 from cancer, unfortunately. Pretty big producer on the West Coast. We lost from one of the kings of soca music. Passed away, Kenny J, not Kenny G, Kenny J, Kenrick Joseph from Trinidad and Tobago. Passed away at the age of 69, also from COVID. Figured, I know how much you love soca music down there. So
yeah, I hate soca music, but anyway.
We lost the lead singer of the Force MDs, Jesse Daniels, passed away at the age of 58. They're an R&B group who basically one of the early people who moved R&B into more hip hop back in the early 80s. One of those transitional bands. So he passed, and actually probably maybe the creators of New Jack Swing, if that makes sense.
Ooh.
The Force MDs. It's debatable, but he was the lead singer and passed at 58.
New Jack Swing is like one of my favorite genres. It's just so much fun. Just absolutely love it.
Yeah.
Despite my interesting my very Caucasian, translucent appearance, as you would describe it.
Understood. I am a translucent American as well.
I'm a translucent Canadian, which God, I just realized I've been here in Barbados for 3 years. I'm still the same damn shade. What the hell's going to happen to me when I live in Winnipeg?
You'll turn the color of an igloo. Two-time Grammy Award-winning French horn player Dan Clevenger passed away at the age of 81. Probably the best French horn player in the country. Passed away, or at least at one point, passed away at the age of 81 from cancer. Also, Richard Fried, American music critic, one of the big ones for classical music, again, passed away at the age of 93, won a Grammy in 1995 for his work as a producer as well. And I guess the biggest name from music who passed away this week, Calvin Simon, from Parliament Funkadelic. Member of the Parliament when they got inducted to the Hall of Fame, passed away at the age of 79 just yesterday.
Of COVID too? Or does it say?
Nope, it does not say.
Okay.
But yeah, he started out as one of because the Parliament started as the Parliaments, which were a doo-wop band. And he was one of the 5 original guys with George Clinton who had the 50s doo-wop band, the Parliaments. So
I suppose there hasn't been a TV or a movie about him.
About George Clinton?
Yeah.
Still the greatest concert I've ever seen in my entire life.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, George Clinton Parliament Funkadelic. They played my college. I was one of maybe 5 non-Black people in the audience. And my Filipino girlfriend at the time was another one of them. But she blended in a little bit better than I did. But that whole concert was, and I'll honestly say I did not know them as well at that point in my life. I was 18. And that was just ridiculous how good they were. Yeah. So honestly, I think I really learned about them the first time from PCU.
Not the first time that's come up on this show.
Yeah, PCU is a seminal movie. If I have to, if you could explain yourself in a certain number of movies to your kids, I think PCU would not be that far down the list to explain what my life was like growing up. So,
I don't know.
One person
I would use in the same situation.
Yeah, I think if you have to explain the 90s in a few movies, PCU, Empire Records. There are a few of them that just
movies.
That soundtrack was awesome, though.
Yes.
I didn't say the movie was good. I just said to explain the 90s pretty well.
Okay.
Can't Hardly Wait also explained the 90s pretty well. It was also not a good movie. One person I did miss from the world of the Olympics, Judd Logan, who won a gold medal in the hammer throw at the Pan American Games and competed in 4 Summer Olympics for the U.S., passed away at the age of 62, also from COVID. He had been treated for leukemia 2 years previously and was told they couldn't get vaccinated. So, and then we come up with some big names who passed away this week. Just one person, the defense attorney or I guess the prosecuting attorney from Roe versus Wade. So on the Roe side, Sarah Weddington passed away at the age of, she's born in 45. So that makes it 76.
Which one was Roe and which one was Wade?
Roe was the woman who wanted the rights, and Wade was the Texas Attorney General.
Okay. I can't believe all the time. I've always known what that was, but I never knew who they were and which one.
Well, Roe was given to Norma McCorvey, who was the actual woman, because she wasn't. It was a privacy right thing, so she gave the name of Jane Doe. She became Jane Roe because there were like a whole bunch of them.
Yeah, why not?
So, and then certain people dropped, and then she ended up sticking around.
Okay.
But anyway, Sarah Weddington passed away at the age of 76. Just one of those interesting people in history. We lost then 3 giants in entertainment. The first of whom was, I'll go I guess the least impressive of them, and still pretty freaking impressive. Peter Bogdanovich passed away at 82. he was an actor a little bit too, but best known for his directing. Directed The Last Picture Show, What's Up Doc, Paper Moon, Noise is Off, which is a movie I absolutely love. A whole bunch of other stuff. Just won a ton. Just one of the great directors of this, mostly of the 70s. So yeah, he passed away at 82. I didn't see from what. Parkinson's. Compensations with Parkinson's. Then two of the absolute giants of one of TV and one of movies. I'm going to start with the TV one.
Sure.
Betty White. The best cartoon I saw about the death of Betty White was she got to the pearly gates in St. Peter's there saying, if you live to 99 and people still don't think you've lived long enough, that's quite a life.
Yeah. I think this was my tweet on that. I can't think of too many people who've been more successful after the age of 60 who were that successful beforehand.
Agreed.
Like if Betty White never did anything, if she never even did Golden Girls, she would still have been massively successful. And then afterwards, I think what sums her up the best to me of just what she meant is the fact that there was what was it, 5-7, I don't know how many years ago, but it was an online movement to get her to host Saturday Night Live.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's 8 years ago.
8 years ago. Okay, thanks. So for that to happen, and then she's there and she just nails everything.
She was the best. They aired it last week.
Oh, did they? Okay.
They aired it last week. I watched again.
Mm-hmm.
That cast was, let's just say, uneven, and she was by far the best person on that show.
But like she just, in terms of just like entertainment, like we lost her and Cloris the same year, I think. No.
Yeah. Cloris Leachman passed away last year as well. Yeah.
Yeah, and like everything you could say about Betty, you could say about Cloris, and vice versa. Just Betty just had that likable. I can't think of anything really bad you can even say about her. Anything. She
is the greatest celebrity game show contestant of all time.
Charles Nelson Riley, bite your tongue.
Charles Nelson Riley was incredibly entertaining. You actually wanted to win.
Mm-hmm.
You wanted Betty White.
Okay.
Maybe Richard Dawson, who I know was the host of.
I've forgotten. I'm speaking with an actual game show contestant.
Yeah, and I watch a lot of game shows, but she was the best at Password. She's amazing at Hollywood Squares, amazing at the $25,000 pyramid, amazing at the Match Game. Yeah, she's just.
In her 80s and early 90s, she was killing it at the celebrity roasts on Comedy Central.
Yeah. I mean, when did Hot in Cleveland end? Not that long ago, right?
I think so. Like, I don't know. Like a few years ago.
Yeah. But she's still she was still acting as a major player, not a bit player.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on, when did Hot in Cleveland? I'm going there.
And probably, like, let's say if COVID didn't happen.
It went 2010 to 2015.
Okay.
So that means that 93,
yeah,
she was still a main cast person on a show. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. And with all due respect to the other three, most people were tuning in for Betty White.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. And by the way, the only other person I could think of to compare her to in terms of after 60 stuff, and even he slowed down, was George Burns. So I think Burns.
Yeah, actually, that would be a better one because I don't think George Burns. He became actually a bigger star too. Because
he became a bigger star with the Oh God stuff and
Oh
God level, and I agree. He became bigger. It's like Bob Hope made it to 100, but the last 15, 20 years of his life, he was just an old man in a wheelchair. He wasn't really out doing stuff.
Bob Hope sucked. Sorry.
I'm just telling you.
Yeah.
He was I was just trying to think of people who got that far, and the only one I could think of when you said that was George Burns.
Actually, yeah, George Burns probably is a better example of that now that you bring that up.
But for women, certainly it's Betty White. It's not close.
That was like, I can't even think of anyone who transcended generations like that. Nobody.
Nobody.
I mean,
Like she's more popular. She's as popular with like Generation Z
Mhm.
as she is with the silent generation, if they're still around.
It's true. It's so true because she could do everything. She could play the vixen. She could play the dirty grandma. She could play the sweet grandma. She was the person you wanted to hang out with, and it didn't matter what your interests were. She was going to find a way to get into to appeal to you.
I was watching Mary Tyler Moore clip that they had
Mhm.
where she was just for those who aren't old like us that ever watched Mary Tyler Moore.
I never watched Mary Tyler Moore, but
I lived with an 88-year-old woman at one point, so we watched a lot of Mary Tyler Moore.
Holy crap! How
when I moved back down,
mod of you.
Yeah, when I moved back down to DC, I spent a year living with my great aunt while I was getting situated down there.
Oh, okay.
That way, she had lost her husband. The family was happy to have me there. I was living rent free while I was getting everything together.
Nice.
They're happy to have me there because someone was there with her. But we spent a lot of time watching Nick at Night and old TV shows.
Yeah, bring a girl home. She can't hear what you're doing.
That never happened. So the only girl I had was my wife, and she was living in Boston at the time. So we weren't engaged yet. So
then how my foot tastes good.
But I was watching an episode where she was one of the news anchors, and she was just like this June Cleaver, always smiling, everything happy, and she had to tell a story about somebody dying and blood and guts being all over the road, and it was so weird and off-putting, and she just completely pulled it off. She was awesome. So Godspeed, Betty. I mean, her comedic timing with being on the How You Live to 100 is the People magazine, and then dying the day before it hits the newsstands. The comedic timing of that is pretty perfect.
I think she would actually get a kick out of it.
Yeah. And as great as she was, maybe on the short list of most important actors in the history of cinema, Sidney Poitier has to be there.
In terms of importance, yeah, I would agree with that.
Like, I think it's hard for people to understand now. And again, you and I weren't there at the time. Just how incredible Guess Who's Coming to Dinner was as a movie.
I just finally saw that 2 years ago.
Yeah.
I was actually talking to my dad because I talk to him every day. So we talk about that. And I when I read that, because you see him, sadly, feels like I get most of my news on Twitter, just when somebody's trending and then you kind of think the worst. A lot of his career, because I'm going to be 50 this year, but when I was a kid, he pretty much stopped acting. So I didn't see him in much, like in my elective consciousness. And it was not until I really I won't say discovered him more, but when I was watching a lot of older movies when I was in my 20s. But I mean, you just hear him ever since I can remember, he was always held in this incredible esteem by everybody. You know, like, did you find it that way for you? I know.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, we said not Mr. Tibbs. They call me Mr. Tibbs I mean, like, I don't know, so I think I've told you, my wife and I started watching every movie that was nominated for Best Picture, and then we had kids and it's come to a crashing halt. But one of the 100 or so movies we saw, because there were 463 originally, now there's well over 600. But one of the first movies we saw on that whole thing was The Lilies of the Field, which is, we were worried about just being like, I'm not sure how this is going to be. He won the Academy Award for Best Actor for Lilies of the Field in 1960.
What's it about?
It is about a man who is kind of an itinerant black man looking for odd jobs around the country. Okay. Who basically gets taken in by a group of nuns in the middle of nowhere.
Okay.
It doesn't sound like a movie that you would be like, this movie is going to be awesome.
But it was?
That movie was awesome.
Okay.
And I still can't hear the name Schmidt without thinking of the German nun in charge going, Schmidt, we need you, Schmidt, from that movie. So he's stopping at a farm in an Arizona desert to get water for his car. And they were German, Austrian, Hungarian nuns living in the Arizona desert who needed help with stuff. And they persuade him to do a small roofing repair. He stays overnight, assuming he'll be paid the next morning. And the Mother Superior convinces him that if he does some more work, they'll pay him the next day. And he just keeps staying. It's kind of like he eventually does get paid and everything else, but it ends up being very much at the beginning like Dread Pirate Roberts, I'll likely kill you in the morning sort of situation, and then you're still around. Sort of the same thing. It's a really, really good film. And then, of course, you have In the Heat of the Night. You have To Sir with Love. They're just so many. And of course, then his comedic turn with Stir Crazy
As director.
Yeah, that was. Yeah, I mean, Stir Crazy is another one of those. It's a movie that I feel like kind of gets lost in the midst of everything else that those two guys did.
Uptown Saturday Night.
Exactly. I went back and watched the scene where he jumps on he knocks a nightstick out of the hand of the jailer and jumps on his back, asking him to ride him away to freedom, and then gets pulled off. He goes, "That guy thinks he's a horse." I'm sorry. The whole thing is hilarious, but so he's been the oldest living recipient of Best Academy Award actor since Ernest Borgnine died in 2012.
Oh, so do you know who that is now, or didn't?
Well, it would have been, he just passed away too. He was the Hammer. What's his name from The Sound of Music? I can think of his name.
Oh, Christopher Lee?
Christopher Plummer.
Damn it. I've been rewatching Star Wars. I just got Disney Plus.
Understood.
Yeah.
Hold on. Oldest living Best Actor Oscar winner. It was Sidney Poitier until today. There we go. Oldest living winners as of 2021. That will help because they'll still be alive, hopefully. All right, fine. Let's see. So the oldest one still living is oldest winner at all is named Walter Mirisch, then Ava Marie Saint, and then Mel Brooks is up there too.
Oh.
He's 94. I don't actually list of 10 oldest living Oscar winners. That's just from years ago. Yeah. Well, it's from a few years ago, and they want me to sign up for a website. I'll figure it out.
It's not that important.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. So,
but yeah, RAP to all of them.
Yeah.
Hopefully next week. Not that I don't like hearing your segment, but I hope it's shorter.
No kidding. Me too.
Yeah,
it's a lot of talking. I'd like to talk, but that's a lot of talking.
Well, you got some more because again, speaking of hammers, you're the hammer, the good, the bad, and the ugly of sports. You told me the bad. You told me the ugly. I don't know what your good is.
Well, I didn't think you'd believe me. I'm about to say something nice about the Vancouver Canucks. So this actually is just a kind of heartwarming story, although I wish that it seems a little cheapskated to me at the same time. But the Canucks played the Seattle Kraken in the Kraken's first home game earlier this season. And one of the fans of the Kraken banged on the glass behind the Canucks bench for the equipment managers cleaning up. Held up her phone saying, "The mole on your neck is cancerous. You need to get it checked by a doctor." And the equipment guy just looked at her like she was nuts, but actually went and had it checked. Turns out it was cancerous, and that there was skin cancer that they caught super early because this lady realized it. And he doesn't understand how, because he's like, "I'm wearing microphone equipment. I have a suit on with a collar," but she noticed it. He got the cancer removed super early, and then went about on Twitter trying to find who this woman was. So they found her. Her name's Nadia Popovici.
Okay.
And the Kraken and Canucks got together. She's going to be attending med school in the fall.
Okay.
And they got together and got her $10,000 scholarship towards the school. Now, I thought 10,000, 5,000 each was kind of cheapskating, in my opinion. Felt like 25 would have been better. My wife pointed out they didn't necessarily have to give her anything. But again,
that's true.
You know, $5,000 is not very much for these guys, you know? So, but still, it was just a good story. He went and found her. They had a big hug. Yeah, he said that she saved my life. It wasn't like dragging me out of a fire. It was telling me that there was a fire and getting me out before it got worse.
Nice.
So
that's
hey,
a good
story.
That's a good place to start.
Yeah. So I wanted to go there. So good on you, Nadia Popovici, and good on Brian Hamilton, also known as Red, despite the fact his hair is, I guess, reddish. He seems more brown haired to me.
Why do they call him Red? On the account of that I'm Irish.
I got it right. It's the color of my nose.
Yep.
So anyway, so that's the good.
And the bad?
The bad, I teased it earlier, the Jacksonville Jaguars. So the Jacksonville Jaguars are being sued for breach of contract by a Georgia roofing company called roofclaim.com.
Is that a bowl?
Is that a what?
Sounds like a bowl game.
Yeah, it does sound like a bowl game. But once Urban Meyer was fired, they tried to get the Jaguars to let them out of their sponsorship deal. And the Jaguars said no. So now they are basically the primary sponsor on TV for the Jaguars. And Jaguars fans this week are going to be having they have a social media thing, and we'll see how many of them actually do it, where they're planning wearing clown attire to the game against the Colts, the last home game, to show their dissatisfaction with the ownership of the team.
I gotta say, just selfishly, I kind of hope they lose or bet, but
so they're suing for $30,000 in damages. They signed a 4-year sponsorship with the Jaguars. They agreed to pay $2.51 million over the next 4 years. They've paid $300,000 in, and they want out. They want
big
nothing.
Urban Meyer fans, like, well, what is this? Why?
I can't tell you, but I will say that they just don't want to be the primary sponsor of what they're calling the clown game.
That's funny. How did I miss this?
I have long said that I am fully expecting that when the league expands to England, which it's going to do at some point, the team that's moving is the Jaguars. The Jaguars have had one home game in England for a long time, and all you have to do to rearrange the divisions is you put the Jaguars in with the Patriots, Bills, and Jets. You move Miami in with the Colts, Titans, and Texans. You haven't really changed much other than the Patriots don't have to go to Miami twice a year or every
Isn't
year.
the owner living in England anyway?
Shad Khan, I think so.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he owns Fulham. I know that. I don't know I don't know where he's living.
I don't know either. But regardless, I mean, it's pretty clear to me that Jacksonville is the most likely team. They're going to want a anchor franchise from the league, and then they can build other ones around it. But yeah, the sooner I think the better.
Well, it's an anchor, all right.
It is.
Yeah.
The Jaguars are coming up on it'll be their 29th year of existence next year. It's amazing it lasted 29 years in Jacksonville. 93 they started. I
feel so old because I remember that expansion year.
Yeah.
With them the Panthers. Wait, was it 93? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because the Rockies also were 93. It was a big expansion time back then.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, the Clown Bowl is coming for Jacksonville. That seems pretty bad. Nice. It would probably be worse, except for the fact that, let's be honest, they don't matter as a franchise.
No, they don't. And the ugly, and it doesn't get uglier than this because we might as well just say this is the guy you're going to talk about every week. Future baseball Hall of Famer.
Rob Manfred. So
I
a couple
hate
things,
that.
a couple things to Rob Manfred.
Yeah.
First, we talked about him about a month and a half ago, maybe. Talking about the negotiations between the players' union and the league.
Yeah.
Now, the league won the last negotiations by a lot over the players. Players have gotten a lot of money, but other than that, the league basically has control of a lot of things. And rather than be happy with that, they just wrung everything out. And it got to the point where their negotiations, which were on the December 1st, lasted 7 minutes. The last negotiations. Now they're technically locked out right now. Right?
Well, even I can last 7 minutes. Okay. I used to be able to. Anyway, moving on.
I was giving you my Justin Timberlake meme look. They have not negotiated since then. There's been nothing. Pitchers and catchers are supposed to report in 3 weeks.
Not happening.
Like, they're just going to lose large portion of the season because they won't negotiate. And Rob Manfred hates baseball.
Mm-hmm.
And we talked about this. And one of the people who was calling him to task over that was Ken Rosenthal, who's one of the most respected baseball writers out there.
Absolutely.
Baseball's got a lot of very respected writers, right?
True.
One of whom's going to the Baseball Hall of Fame. I can think of his name on ESPN. Tim Kirkchin. Kirkchin was elected to the Baseball Hall of Fame as a writer. Very, very. There may be nobody in the history of the world who loves baseball more than Tim Kirkchin, right? Absolutely, 100% worthy. But Ken Rosenthal is exceptionally good at his job and made the mistake of calling out the owners of Pravda for their bullshit. And he's been consistent that Manfred needs to do better at his job. And now the only person who said that was the reason he was let go was the New York Post. I haven't seen anyone else officially have any evidence on it yet.
Let's just specify, because he was let go from his role at MLB.com. He's still going to be with Fox.
Correct.
And his other roles. But I mean, he was working for MLB.com. I think they're trying to paint it, well, we just do rotate staff, but we all know what this is.
Sure you do.
Yeah.
Rob Manfred has to be a Roger Goodell spy. Just like I've always thought Gary Bettman was on David Stern's payroll. Right?
Hasn't Gary Bettman gone up? He's the only person I can ever, and I've said it before, I'll say it again for anyone listening new. He's the only person to enter a major sports Hall of Fame who's starting to become more of a Hall of Famer after he got inducted.
To be fair, him becoming more of a Hall of Famer would involve him just being able to walk 3 steps forward without tripping over his shoelace.
Which he's done.
He has done.
He has done.
I hear he can also do that while chewing gum. It's amazing. But yeah, Gary, like I've said this before.
Yeah.
Silver from the NBA is the best commissioner, and the other 3 are tied for 5th. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Like in a 4-sport league. I have to tell you, I think Bettman is now officially 4th. Goodell is 5th. And Manfred, he is the worst. He's the worst commissioner of my lifetime in any sport.
Mine too. And we lived through some of the awful things of Bud Selig.
And Roger Goodell's a moron.
Goodell is a moron. Yeah, Rob
and Bettman is also not great.
And if there's any sport that really needs this, it's baseball. Baseball's lost the cool factor for a long, long time.
Mm-hmm.
Not playing, not even sort of promoting the big stars that they have in the best way. I know they tried a lot with Ohtani, and to their credit, they really, actually, and MLB.com did a really good job on that. But this is a sport that is never sort of connected with the youth. And since I've been, God, I don't know, for decades, really. And it just does nothing to help itself. You probably saw that South Park episode. Oh God, we got to play this.
Yeah.
They got to play for the whole summer. And My dad, who would take me to ball games, he'd always joke, because he hated sports. Doing the 7th inning stretch just to wake everyone up.
Yeah.
He hated. God, he hated that. But he'd take me to Jays games. But yeah, it's another thing where we're right back where we started. They make a couple gains and they kill it. And Manfred is, yeah, he's terrible. I've got nothing else really to say.
I mean, and baseball is, so I don't know if any soccer and hockey have benefited a ton from the HD revolution, where you could see things way better. Like being able to see the puck during a hockey game on TV, you still can't see it on near boards. If you're watching, you can see it on like 85% of the ice, where before you had a vague idea where it was by the like blurry black thing and where the players were, right? Like soccer is with the widescreen format in HD, you can see absolutely everything. It's over in 2 hours.
Mm-hmm.
I can have it on the background. You have to pay that much attention. You can do something else if you're not that big a fan, just a casual fan. You do something else, and every once in a while, something important will happen. The voices will raise. You'll figure it out and go from there. Baseball gets nothing out of that. There's no advantage of sitting around because you don't know how long you're going to be there. You could legitimately be there 5 hours. If it's a Red Sox Yankees game, it's more likely to be 5 hours and 2.5.
Well, and to your point with the whole HD thing, especially now with the advances of just technology, with the pitch box,
that also hurts it.
Every bad call over and over and over, and try and explain that to a new fan, to a young person. Okay, so who's like inundated with technology. Well, here's part of the intricacies of baseball, that different umpires have a different strike zone. Why? How do you explain that to, the old thing, explain it like I'm 5? You can't.
No. And I'll say this too, like another thing that hurts it is video games. Like if you're going to play one season in baseball, you can play 10 in Madden and still have played fewer games. Not counting playoffs.
Right.
Like it's a 162 game season. Believe me, I played MLB The Show 09 on my PlayStation 2 through the 2031 season at one point.
Wow.
With the Pittsburgh Pirates, the 09 Pirates is what I started with. I wanted a challenge. It wasn't fun playing with one of the big teams.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I bottomed out in 2009 with a whole bunch of rookies. I traded for the best prospects I could off of every team and won the World Series in 2012 legitimately, not like cheating. So it was fun, and then my PlayStation 2 just deleted everything. It was just awful. I wasn't going to redo it, so I've never gone back. But like that took me, I don't know, so 2009 to 20, I think it was 2031. So is that 22 seasons? That took me 14 years, 13 years, something crazy like that. And I wasn't playing all the time, but like,
yeah.
And I was simulating a bunch of games. Like you just can't. I don't know. It's a tough sport. It's a good sport for you to get into. If you're good at it, you can play a long time without getting injured and get a decent amount of money out of it. You don't have a helmet on, so you have the opportunity to, have your smiling face on TV whenever something goes well, like you can in basketball, you can't in football, you can't really in hockey. And they just have a guy who hates the sport, just hates it.
They hate the sport. They don't know how to market it. And I think a lot of these baseball players don't know how to market themselves.
100%. I mean, Mike Trout should be just think of the guys we're talking about at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone in America, if you put up a picture, not everyone, of course, but like over 50% of all Americans, if you put up a picture in 2005 of Barry Bonds, would recognize it.
Yes, they would. Mm-hmm.
What percentage of Americans do you put up a picture of Mike Trout?
Less than 30.
What percentage of Americans, if you put up a picture of Shohei Ohtani?
More than 30, but not by
not much. Way less than 50.
Yeah, way less than 50. So
I mean, think of like Justin Verlander, who's been around forever, first ballot Hall of Famer. Like it's just, it's just nobody cares, and problem with nobody caring is that the people who care the least are the people in charge. They're making money and they don't care about anything else. And they don't care if they shut the season down because they're still going to make money.
And to what you said, I mean, look at the NBA and how much that's grown in our lifetime. Someone you brought up last week, Zion Williamson. He'd have more of a Q rating or just like that than probably Mike Trout if you put them side by side.
100%. I bet more people would know who Zion Williamson
is. That's what I'm saying, Zion Williamson.
Yeah, I know. I 100% agree with you.
Yeah. And that's not a shot on Zion.
But Zion Williamson's the 25th best player in the NBA?
Not even, because he's not even playing right now. But
I mean, all right, 40th? My point is say he's the 40th best player in the NBA. 40th best player in the NBA when we were kids was Dwayne Shinsis. Who knows?
Yeah.
Right. And there's no way people would know who that was more than Cal Ripken, who was not even the best player in baseball. Ozzie Smith, Cal Ripken, Roger Clemens. I'm just thinking of all the people. Bo Jackson.
Think about this. So when that famous Homer at the Bat episode, can you come up with 9 people that are recognized like those 9 at that time? I mean, some of them don't stand out. Like you think, well, why was Steve Sachs? Steve Sachs was a pretty popular guy at one point.
Yeah,
but
it's Trout, Ohtani, Betts.
You could get anyone to voice Trout. You wouldn't even know if it's really him.
But my point is, I've come up with my list.
Okay, good.
That's it.
Oh, yeah.
Trout, Ohtani, Betts. Is there anyone else who would be recognizable? A bunch of people. I mean, Red Sox, maybe. Red Sox fans know Xander Bogaerts really, really well. He's been around a long time. He's all-star. He has a shot at the Hall of Fame maybe when he retires if he sticks around long enough. Nobody knows who he is outside of.
Vladimir Guerrero got a lot of attention this year.
Vlad Jr., yeah.
Yeah.
But more people would know Vlad Sr. than Vlad Jr.
It's so sad. And you're right too. The helmet, you see what they look like. Football, the players have such a disadvantage when it comes to that marketing, especially in hockey, as they got more and more, facial coverings and whatnot. I mean, I don't know how many times you'll see some kind of sports list where soccer's worst haircuts. You don't see that in the NFL because you don't really see their hair.
Right.
Not that it matters, but
to be fair, the only reason I know I can tell instantaneously who Jalen Mills is on the Patriots because he's got green hair. And he's got green dreads hanging out the back of his jersey. I'm like, all right, well, that's Jalen Mills. I don't have to look for his number 2. I just know that's Mills. But he's literally the only one I could think of because even guys who have dreads, there are enough of them that he's not necessarily who it is.
Yeah.
So.
And baseball is going to keep whoever replaces Manfred will be the same type of idiot. That's the sad part.
This is gonna sound weird. What baseball needs, and it's the same thing that the Chicago Bears need right now.
Okay, what's up?
They need someone who actually knows the sport in charge.
Okay. Yeah.
They need someone who actually knows and cares about the sport in charge. The Bears' biggest problem is nobody knows how to play football. None of the McCaskies or anybody care. Ted Phillips, who's now going to be in charge of building the new stadium out in Arlington Heights. None of these people care about the football team as a entity. They care about the money-making side of it, but that's about it, right? The Bears make money. The Bulls are great now. The Bulls' first 4 years out here were terrible, but they still sold out all the time because people just love the Bulls. I love basketball in Chicago. They'd come to see the other teams, everything like that. Or fans who come because
the Bulls weren't trying to tank on purpose, or they were trying.
Neither the Bears.
It didn't work.
Neither the Bears. The Bears aren't trying to tank on purpose either.
Right.
And
it reminds me of my growing up. White people say, "Well, you grew up in Toronto. How come you're not a Leafs fan?" Harold Ballard. There's my answer. Hockey Hall of Famer Harold Ballard.
Is Wirtz the owner of the Blackhawks a Hall of Famer?
I'm pretty sure he is.
Yeah, he was Jeremy Jacobs of the Bruins, another one. They're just, it's a business.
Arthur Wirtz was good.
What?
Arthur Wirtz was, I believe, pretty competent.
Okay, but they just They need someone who knows the sport in charge. Manfred knows bottom line, but doesn't actually give a damn about the sport whatsoever.
No.
They need someone to come in like Theo Epstein.
Ooh.
He's available. I'm just saying. It doesn't have to be Theo Epstein, but somebody who gives a damn and can run something at the same time.
I like that. Well, I guess with that, so I think we've been on almost 2 hours or close to.
Man. A lot of dead people is the problem.
That just feels like a long time when I'm talking to you. It was a shot. Come on.
I know. I was trying to come up with a good comeback, but I didn't have one.
All right. All good. So for those who pay attention to us, we're going to be doing our baseball mock committee. It's not really a committee. We're just going to shoot the shit and debate and give our pros and cons. But we are going to be doing our finals for the Pro Football Hall of Fame committee, where we're going to treat it as if we are the people voting. So we're looking forward to that. Look for more things of that in the future. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Oh, I wrote a book. Buy my book, Chavo Guerrero, Instant Classic. I helped him write it before he passed on.
And I've actually started writing a book this year as one of my New Year's resolutions. So
really,
it's fiction. It's based off of an existing work. I'm not gonna say anything else about it, other than I am actively working on it. So
all right.
It's been in my head. It's been in my head for years, and I just this year was like, I'm 43. How much longer am I going to sit on this without actually writing it? If it doesn't go anywhere, it doesn't go anywhere. But at least I need to write it for me. So
someone will help you get it on Amazon, or at least knows all the little intricacies of that.
That'll be good.
Didn't seem as easy as I thought it would be. But anywho, stay safe, everybody, wherever you might be. Hope you're safe.
Take care, guys.
All right, bye.